Thank you for joining me here this morning. The time is currently 10:43 a.m. Central, and you have a live look at a severe thunderstorm moving towards Killeen, Texas. If we bring up the Killeen cyclone port out here, we can definitely see that rolling in there on that camera, right? This is, again, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing quarter-sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. So if you're in Killeen, make sure that you are getting indoors immediately. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. And then we also have another severe thunderstorm warning, and this one, guys, is all the way up in parts of Connecticut and Rhode Island, all right? We have a severe thunderstorm warning for the Coventry area, all right? This is going to also be for the threat of quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging wind gusts, because we are talking about storms today from, yes, the northeast back down into Texas, back up into North Dakota. It is going to be a massive, widespread, severe weather outbreak today once again. This one is not going to be quite as intense as the one we had yesterday, most likely, but I will say it's going to be more widespread across the United States. Again, we have a marginal risk of severe weather that goes all the way from Maine back down into Texas, back up into Montana. So we have a massive risk for severe weather today. Then we even have a slight risk of severe weather that goes all the way from Texas back into North Dakota. And then we also have an enhanced risk across parts of Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri here. If we look, we see we have almost 100 million people under a marginal risk of severe weather today. We've got about 20 million people under a slight risk of severe weather today. And then we've got about 2 million people under an enhanced risk of severe weather today. Okay, so our enhanced risk is the area of concern for today. Or at least the main area of concern. Omaha, Lincoln, Council Bluffs, Bellevue, and Grand Island in Nebraska and Iowa. You guys are the main cities at risk here, right? Those are some of the bigger cities in our enhanced risk. Again, this includes portions of northeast Kansas, northwest Missouri, southwest Iowa, and southeastern Nebraska there. So it's going to be a pretty big day here today. We've already had several severe thunderstorms this morning. It's going to get active here, okay? But it's mainly actually going to be active going into the nighttime hours across parts of Nebraska and Kansas, where our main threat for severe weather is today. If we take a look at what the NAM 3-kilometer model is showing here for tonight, we can see that it's painting a little bit of convection up there in Kansas and Nebraska this morning, but it's just going to be typical showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder. But you can see the big event really starts to get going here around 6, 7 p.m. We got some supercells popping off on parts of the northern plains, but for the central plains here in our enhanced risk, it's going to take even longer than that, all right? About 10, 11 p.m., we're talking about a widespread damaging wind threat extending all the way from O'Neill back down to McCook, and that is going to continue to sweep through portions of southeastern Nebraska, as the main threat for today is actually going to be damaging winds up to 75 miles per hour or higher. Now, by 5 a.m., that line of storms is going to sweep into parts of Iowa and Missouri, still relatively intense here. 7 a.m., it's sweeping through the Des Moines area. About 9 to 10 a.m., we got Cedar Rapids under the gun. About 11 to 12, we're talking about areas like Davenport, and then going all the way into tomorrow afternoon, all right? We can still see this sweeping across parts of northwestern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. All right, about 2 p.m. tomorrow, this starts to sweep into the Bloomington area. Then by 3 to 4 p.m., it kind of continues across parts of northeastern Illinois. And then eventually, by the time it reaches northwestern Indiana, southwestern Michigan, after it crosses over Lake Michigan, it'll kind of die out. But then we can actually see tomorrow's threat start to develop here across parts of, once again, Illinois and Missouri here. All right, around 7 to 8 p.m., we could be talking about a pretty intense damaging wind and large hail threat for portions of central Illinois here. Areas like Urbana, Bloomington, Springfield could get in on some of that action, and then eventually that'll sweep all the way into Indiana around 9 p.m. That's going to sweep into Indiana. All right, we're talking about areas like Terre Haute. By 10 p.m., that's sweeping into Indianapolis. 11 p.m., closer to Muncie. All right, and then going all the way in to midnight tomorrow night. All right, we can still see that line going across parts of, once again, southern Indiana, western Ohio, maybe a little bit of northern Kentucky around the Louisville area. But again, around 1 a.m. here on Saturday, this is kind of sweeping into areas like Cincinnati. 2 a.m., kind of Springfield, Ohio. And then eventually by, Friday morning here, things kind of finally die out. But then we're going to have another threat for severe weather develop after that, all right? We're going to see another severe weather event start to pop off here in the Central Plains, okay? So we got a very active few days of weather ahead, and it's just been an active month of severe weather in general. Pretty much every day we've had a major tornado threat for the past month. We've had so so many tornado emergencies. Greenfield, Iowa got hit very hard a couple days ago. That could be one of our harder hit spots by, everything is said and done with this severe weather pattern. All right, Greenfield, Iowa, we now have 4 confirmed fatalities. We've got dozens of injuries, all right? It was officially rated at a high-end EF3 tornado as a preliminary rating, okay? So it could go a little bit higher, but again, right now it's currently rated at an EF3, okay? So I'm actually guessing it's going to get to an EF4. Just looking at it on radar, it was absolutely insane. And some of the damage, I mean, it looks like EF4 damage, maybe even high-end EF4 damage. So it's pretty insane what happened up there. Hopefully everybody's doing better now. I know we got a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Relief operations up here, trying to help out. So that's obviously amazing. We do actually have, once again, a couple of flash flood warnings up here in the Northeast as well, for some of these storms. The Northeast is going to have a pretty decent chance for severe weather today. I know Mr. Storm, he messaged me. He's out there in Long Island, and he actually got hit today by a severe thunderstorm. But now most of the severe weather action in the Northeast is going to remain isolated down to parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts here. I wouldn't rule out an isolated severe thunderstorm still, maybe in far eastern portions of New York, but I think mostly the threat is done there. Maybe a little bit of severe weather action possible here in New Jersey still. Maybe a little cell like this starts to really get going. But again, I think for the most part, the northeastern severe weather threat's isolated up here to Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut today. At this point, it's not often we're talking about this area, right? We have large trees and wires down as of 17 minutes ago with this severe thunderstorm that once again is currently moving through Coventry, heading towards Warwick. If we go back down to our Killeen, Texas storm, we can see on the Killeen, Texas cyclone port, I mean, it is just incredibly ominous out there what we're seeing, and we're going to start to see that torrential rainfall start up soon. Downtown Killeen, again, you need to make sure that you're getting indoors immediately, all right? This is mainly going to stay off to the north of you, though I think the main severe threat is anyway, but you're still going to get hit by some gusty winds, some heavy rain, and some small hail out there, most likely, if you are in downtown Killeen, Texas. So, again, you got to look out for that, and again, make sure that you are getting indoors there. If anybody does have any questions about their location, feel free to leave those down below. Try to answer them accurately and honestly, because today is a very widespread day for severe weather. One of the more widespread we've had in a long time. Again, we're talking about everywhere from North Dakota back down into Texas, back over to Maine. So, again, we've got over 100 million people facing at least a marginal risk of severe weather today. And then tomorrow is going to be pretty active too. All right, we have a slight risk of severe weather. This is going to be for portions of the Mississippi Valley here, going back into eastern portions of the Red River Valley. All right, this includes areas like DFW, Little Rock, St. Louis, back up into Indianapolis, Chicago. So, again, it's going to be a pretty widespread threat for severe weather, just kind of like today is. We have almost 40 million people under a slight risk of severe weather, and we have about 45 million people under a marginal risk of severe weather tomorrow. So, once again, we've got over 80 million people facing at least a marginal threat of severe weather tomorrow. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but as we go into Saturday, things do not look any better, all right? Again, we have an enhanced risk of severe weather for Saturday. We have a marginal risk that goes all the way from Delaware back over to Nebraska. We got that slight risk that goes all the way from Texas into Nebraska, and then the enhanced risk that spans mainly across parts of the southern and central plains here. And then even going into Sunday, we have a day 4 enhanced risk of severe weather here for parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley. We got areas like northwestern Tennessee, western Kentucky, southwestern Indiana, southern Illinois, southeastern Missouri, and northeastern Arkansas under the gun for Sunday. And then we have the slight risk outside of that that really goes over pretty much the entirety of the Mississippi valleys, the Ohio valleys, the Tennessee Valley. It's a very large area here. On Sunday, we've got, once again, already tens of millions of people facing at least a marginal threat of severe weather. I'm guessing once we see the marginal risk get put in place, we're going to have, a good chunk, like at least 60 million people under at least a marginal risk of severe weather. So we have at least 40 million people under a slight risk of severe weather. So it's going to be pretty active again on Sunday. I think it's going to be kind of the final day of this massive ongoing severe weather outbreak. Again, we're talking about a very high-end severe weather threat for Sunday, but after that, I do think things are finally going to start to calm down. Literally every day for the past month, it has been incredibly active. We've not had a day's worth of breaks, but we're going to calm down soon. We've been live like multiple times a day, every day. We missed like one day, I think, for the past couple of months, or the past month or so, anyway. If we take a look at the vertically integrated liquid signature on our storm here near Providence and Coventry, again, we can see that we do have a pretty decent hail core with this. We're definitely seeing some at least medium to large sized hail, again, potentially up to quarter size with that storm. Our storm back down in Killeen, though, it has a vertically integrated liquid signature, but it's not quite as impressive. But again, it is still there. On the most recent scan, we're seeing, still some small to medium-sized hail at the very least, potentially up to, I would say, nickel size, but the storm is one for quarter-sized hail, so should treat it like that, and again, make sure you are getting indoors immediately. Still a very nasty storm out there, again, mainly impacting the far northern portion of Killeen, Texas right now. But again, this is going to kind of spill into the downtown area here. And our cyclone port is going to get quite a bit of action here within the next few minutes. Look at that. Look at how still it's gotten, how dark and eerie it's gotten. It's quite literally the calm before the storm. Look at that. The winds aren't even whipping around. All right? You can just tell that something's wrong out there. So, yeah, it's a yikes. By the way, for the past however long I've been using Radar Omega, I thought that this was the direction that the cyclone port was facing. Those are just the directions that the winds are going. I always thought that that was the direction until, like, last night. I was like, wait, that's under the wind speed measurements tab, and why is it changing so frequently if the camera's sitting still? I just thought it was funny. But yeah, this camera's likely actually looking off to the north because it may be looking off to the south, because you can kind of see the storm structure right ahead, but if you look, far out, we can see it get sunny. But yeah. But yeah, I used to think that meant that was the direction that the camera was facing. Sorry guys, give me just a second here. Trying to work on something real quick. Alrighty-roo. Whoops. So again, right here is where we're looking from. In Killeen, Texas, we kind of have a perfect view here, if this camera was turned around, of this severe thunderstorm. Once again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for downtown Killeen, Texas. Make sure you are moving indoors immediately. Very strong storm out here. And this is going to be capable of producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, large hail up to quarter size, as well as torrential rainfall and frequent cloud-to-ground lightning. For your protection, stay inside a sturdy structure and keep away from windows, as the precautionary/preparedness actions section reads on this severe thunderstorm warning. So again, there's your severe thunderstorm currently off to the north of Killeen, Texas. Again, downtown Killeen is probably mostly going to be spared here. Maybe a little bit of rain, some heavy rain maybe if you're on the north side of town. But I think for the most part, the damaging winds and large hail are going to stay off to the north here. Areas like The Grove, Owl Creek, Moffat, Jubilee Springs, and Whitson are about to get in on that. So look out in those areas. Make sure that, again, you're getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Wind-driven hail is going to be a threat with that storm. Same thing with our storm up here in Rhode Island currently. And it's not too often we're talking about Rhode Island on this channel live. Anyway. But we are today. Again, we're talking about everywhere from Maine to Texas, back up to North Dakota today, guys. Got a pretty nasty storm up here in New Hampshire, near Stark. This is capable of producing some large hail and gusty winds, up to 40, maybe even up to 60 miles per hour. This may be a severe thunderstorm. We'll see if they warn it for that. Currently, it's just sitting at a special weather statement, but this is a rapidly intensifying storm here up in northern New Hampshire, as it heads off towards Dummer and Berlin and Milan. There's a town called Dummer. It's odd. Let's see if I can pull up any new information for you guys here from the SPC website. We do have a mesoscale discussion in effect, but it's not new, and it's not going to be anything. There is a 20% chance that we see either a severe thunderstorm or less likely a tornado watch get issued across parts of the Northeast, parts of New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, back up to Massachusetts, or sorry, not New Hampshire, just Massachusetts. Occasional strong wind gusts may produce localized damage, as we are seeing currently with the storm that is moving through areas like Coventry. So again, that mesoscale expires in 14 minutes. They're not going to issue a watch or anything, but... By the way, I just want to point out another insane thing here on how massive this storm is. If we take a look at the hatched hail risk, look at how big that hatched risk is. A hatched risk for hail going all the way from North Dakota back into Texas. Again, that is a threat for lime-sized hail or larger. That's some large damaging hail potential there all across the plains today, everywhere. We do have a tornado threat for today's event. It's going to be on the lower side of things, but again, yesterday we had this same exact tornado risk, and we ended up seeing multiple strong tornadoes, so it's a hit or miss. I think that this one, though, yesterday's event was kind of a low floor, high ceiling type event. Today's is a little bit more high floor, low ceiling. Like, there are a few things that were nearly guaranteed to get today, but then there's other things that were really, there's a very low chance that we get to this point. Yesterday's event was kind of a, will it be a bust or will it be big? Today's is more going to be just kind of average for your typical severe weather event out here in the plains in late May. So, we'll continue to watch that area later into this afternoon and this evening, but right now we're mainly focused on the Northeast and the far southern United States. Speaking of the Northeast, we did just get a new special weather statement for a storm south of Bethlehem. This is for a storm producing 40-mile-per-hour winds and half-inch in diameter hail. Same thing with the one just off to the north of it there, actually. So that's going to be heading towards Conway, crossing Interstate 93 soon near Lincoln. Just kind of point out some areas that could get impacted by that storm there. Our storm back down to Killeen is not looking nearly as impressive to me anymore. It's not, likely producing any sort of severe weather at this point. But again, this still does have a severe thunderstorm warning associated with it. So if you're in this area, you should continue to remain indoors and away from windows. But at this point, I think that this storm is probably going to be left at a special weather statement if they don't just unwarn it entirely, because you'll kind of see the hail threat is diminished over time. The damaging wind threat, it's likely not there at all anymore. If we look at the velocities, there's nothing really impressive. So that storm's struggling. I will say we have an ongoing winter storm event in late May up here in parts of Montana and Wyoming. We have tons of winter storm warnings up here. Now I know, it's Montana and Wyoming, but again, we are in late May and we have an ongoing winter storm. Very rare occurrence. It is not common at all. It's crazy. Very late season snow there. Alright, everybody, we are back. Sorry about that. Had to mute up there for a second, but we are once again back. Let's go back over your storm in Killeen. Again, this continues to produce a gusty wind and small hail threat, but at this point, the severe, capabilities of it are questionable at best. And our severe thunderstorm warning up in Rhode Island has been removed, surprisingly, even though the storm looks, if anything, more intense than whenever that warning got issued, but I think it's just about the same, really. Oh, I guess it was producing a very large hail threat back here, and it's not really doing that anymore. But as it heads towards Providence, it's going to just continue to pile on with that insanely heavy rainfall. So, again, Providence, you are under a flash flood warning, so stay alive, don't drive, turn around, don't drown. And that includes the cities of Cranston, Providence, North Providence, the Pawtuxet Village, Oak Lawn, not quite towards Seekonk. This does not include Seekonk, Massachusetts, anyway. Just a Rhode Island threat there for the most part. So again, we are left at one severe thunderstorm warning at this point. And at this point, even this storm is not impressing me, really. But we'll continue to watch it. Again, it's sweeping through northern portions of Killeen, Texas, but mainly just areas to the north of Killeen, Texas in general. Areas like St. Elijah Village, Cold Springs, The Grove, Owl Creek. You guys are currently getting hit by this. We do have a little storm off to the northwest of this that has been evolving here over the past few radar scans that looks relatively intense. We may see some sort of weather alert associated with this soon. Currently, it's unwarned, though. But, again, we may see a severe thunderstorm warning for that. If that continues to intensify, it's just a line of very intense storms that are moving off to the east. They've all kind of collided. Mainly going to be a damaging wind and large hail threat, if anything. I'm not expecting any tornadoes today until we get to, again, our event up here in the plains. I really think the tornado threat for everywhere else today is very low. Now, that's not to say I would be absolutely shocked if we got one, but the good thing is that severe weather threat for Saturday didn't go further north. The day 3. Yeah, it did not reach out to Lincoln, but Lincoln is included in the slight risk. I can't even keep up with all the severe weather events. By the way, they did just issue a new warning.
A new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. Move indoors immediately.
They have issued a severe thunderstorm warning now for the storm that I mentioned earlier. This is for half-dollar-sized hail and damaging winds up to 50 miles per hour. This is for Richland Springs and areas along Highway 190 in central Texas. So if you are included in this severe thunderstorm warning, make sure that you are moving indoors and away from windows immediately. Again, we are talking about large to very large hail, as well as some gusty to potentially damaging winds at times. Again, this is for portions of northwestern San Saba County in west central Texas. Really just the northern portion of the county entirely. I'm not sure why it just says northwestern. San Saba, you're going to be spared, alright? You were not included in that severe thunderstorm warning, but areas just the north of you are. We're continuing to watch our storm here in Killeen. But at this point, the other one's more impressive to me. So again, if you're just now tuning in, we do have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in parts of central Texas. These are mainly for the threats of damaging winds and large hail. Saturday is looking mainly like today, where it's mainly the overnight hours for Lincoln, Nebraska. Yeah, Saturday is going to be, another kind of event where we're watching Saturday night into Sunday morning. Because Saturday night, alright, it's going to be kind of where our storms pop up, and then again, Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon is where the big-time severe weather threat evolves for parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley. So Saturday will kind of be the beginning stages of it for the people in the Central Plains. I don't think Saturday is going to be quite as intense as Sunday will, but again, damaging winds, large hail, and maybe an isolated tornado threat could develop. I will say, Saturday we do have a hatched risk of severe weather here for parts of the plains. So we could see some sort of very large hail or destructive wind threat. We'll just have to see what happens. By the way, the severe thunderstorm warning for Killeen, Texas has now been removed. That's an all clear for Killeen, Texas. Again, now we are just left with our storm here south of Brownwood that's severe thunderstorm warned. It's heading towards Goldthwaite. Right over Richland Springs to the northeast of town. This is moving off to the east, east-northeast. So again, this is right over areas like Skeeterville, Locker, Spring Creek, and Rattler. And because this used to be multiple different supercells here, there's going to be multiple areas of intensity, alright? Usually with a severe thunderstorm, we're talking about one big pocket of damaging winds and large hail, but in this instance, it's going to be a little different, where there's going to be multiple rounds of that. Alright, we're not just talking about, you get past this hail core and you're done. No, there's another hail core back here, another hail core back here, there's a hail core here, hail core here. It's a very strong storm. Only the backside of it is severe warned. Once again, this area here has not received any type of weather alert yet, but it honestly may. I will say these are 2 different National Weather Service zones. I believe this one is NWS San Angelo. And this one, I believe, is a different National Weather Service zone, so we'll just have to see if, what they think about that, really. But, again, for right now, we are chilling with just 1 severe thunderstorm warning across the United States, 2 flash flood warnings, and 5 special weather statements for your strong thunderstorms. We do have a new mesoscale discussion as of 9 minutes ago, alright? This is going to be for portions of Maine. There's a 40% chance of either a tornado or more likely a severe thunderstorm watch being issued for portions of pretty much the entire state of Maine. Between now and 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, thunderstorm coverage and intensity is expected to increase this afternoon. Trends will be monitored for potential watch issuance. So again, that is for portions of Maine. I don't know when the last time we had a mesoscale for severe weather was in Maine. Like, obviously we get them for snow events a lot, but not a lot for severe weather events. I don't know what I was going to say. I said, and then I just stopped talking. I do that a lot. So again, if you are just now tuning in, we are looking at a severe thunderstorm capable of producing half-dollar-sized hail and damaging winds up to 50 miles per hour off to the north of Richland Springs, Texas. If you are included in this severe thunderstorm warning, make sure that you are moving indoors and away from windows immediately. And we actually do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now. It is for the other side of this storm here. That is for the threat of quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. I don't know why the alert sound didn't go off, but it did not. But now areas like Goldthwaite are included in this. So again, the other side of the storm now, the National Weather Service, it is two different zones. This one is the National Weather Service in Fort Worth has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds for southwestern Hamilton County, northern Lampasas County, and central Mills County in central Texas. So again, if you're in that area, make sure that you're moving indoors and away from windows immediately. Very strong storm there, capable of, again, producing it's warned for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds on the eastern side of it. Holy cow! Oh my goodness. All of a sudden, that just got insanely intense. Now, I would like to point out, we are decently far away from the radar site, so this is not, I mean, if you look at it from that radar site, but it hasn't updated yet. This is just ridiculous looking here. Look at that. That hail core with that spike. I mean, if that was, close to the radar site, that would actually be really concerning. That would be baseball, maybe even softball-sized hail there. But we'll wait to see what the other radar scan shows us, because this one will be more accurate to what's actually going on. But, dude, that shocked me. I was not expecting that. Not at all. Alright, let's see this next radar scan come in. I'm very interested in this now, actually. If it looks anything at all like this, if it looks half as impressive as this, that's going to be big. Very big. And very dangerous. Should be right in here. And with that insane spike, the spike was the thing that shocked me the most. Again, also, we're talking about DBZ values that were incredibly high there. DBZ values that were chilling in the high 70s. Yeah, 77 on the DBZ values. Which, for reference, is somewhere between tennis ball and large apple-sized hail. Yeah, that is actually there. Okay, so even with the other radar scan, or the other radar site, the more accurate one, we can still see there is incredibly large hail falling here all of a sudden, really, north of Moline, Texas. So, again, if you're in this area, you need to be getting indoors and away from windows immediately. This is a very strong storm, again, capable of producing massive hail now to the north of Moline, heading towards Fabian Crossing and Evant. I was just going to end off the stream, but we got to stay live for something like this, guys. We're going to see if they upgrade this warning and what they upgrade it to. Just continue. It depends on if this next scan is going to continue to show this massive hail core here. Again, this is some very large and intense hail. If you can do so safely, we would appreciate if you send in any large hail or damaging wind reports to the National Weather Service. But again, only if you can do so safely. Will Saturday's severe weather threat most likely turn into a line of storms by the late evening, overnight hours? Yes, it's going to be mainly a damaging wind threat because of that reason there on Saturday, but again, an isolated tornado or two cannot be ruled out, and then also some large hail is likely, but again, I think for the most part, the Lincoln area is going to be fine on Saturday. I think today is mainly the day you need to worry about, as you are in that enhanced risk of severe weather. But, yeah, the damaging wind threat will be pretty high on Saturday. That may actually be the reason that we have that hatched risk of severe weather, so we'll see. We'll find out tomorrow. Holy cow, dude. I still cannot believe that. That is an insanely large hail core there, guys. Yeah, that's going to be getting close to the intersections of Highway 84 and 281 near Evant and Fairview pretty soon here. So if you're in this area, if you're traveling on in between Lampasas and Hamilton, Texas, along Highway 281, make sure that you are getting off and getting indoors. Same thing if you're traveling along Highway 84 in between Goldthwaite and Gatesville. as very large hail is falling in between those areas there. Wow. Let's wait to see this next radar scan. Let's see, is this one updated? It has, and it is still showing absolutely ridiculously large hail here. Wow. Still a 77 dBz storm to the northwest of Moline, if you look at the Abilene radar. But again, the more accurate one, because it's closer to it, that of which being the Round Rock radar, or Austin radar, or Killeen radar, whatever you want to call it, is showing still a very large hail core, but not quite as big. Not nearly as big, in fact, but it is still showing 74 dBzs, which is very intense. Again, that's somewhere between lime and tennis ball sized hail, according to this radar site here. And it's only warned for quarter sized hail, but that was before this feature popped up on radar. So, I mean, it's going to be way, way more intense, likely. Sorry if it sounds like I'm paranoid about severe weather. No, it's good. That is a legitimate fear that a lot of people have. And that's one of the reasons I'm here, just to kind of let everybody know what's going on, and, you know, I mean, obviously there is legitimate reason for concern, but, again, there's no reason to panic, especially because when you panic, you lose your critical thinking ability. So, again, just make sure that you have multiple ways to receive alerts, know what's going to happen, and you'll be good. That's the best thing you can do, really. Okay. I don't know why I said okay like that. I was catching my breath mid-word. The Killeen storm, again, is much less intense now. But we still have a look at that from the Killeen cyclone port on Radar Omega, and we're going to have a look at this next one eventually if it moves into that general vicinity of where the cyclone port is. And we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now. That's actually for parts of Mississippi. That is for areas in between Greenville and Greenwood, areas north of Rolling Fork. Quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds will be possible with this storm as it approaches Silver City and Belzani. So if you're in this area, again, make sure that you are moving indoors and away from windows immediately. That is a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of west central Mississippi, and then northwestern Mississippi. So, again, just off to the north of Rolling Fork there. It's always ominous whenever we get a severe thunderstorm warning near Rolling Fork, or tornado warning, obviously. You wish some YouTubers wouldn't say tornado outbreak before it happens. Yeah, I understand that. It gets annoying, especially because we can't know exactly what's going to happen in a severe weather event until it happens, right? Even the best forecasters in the world, the people at the National Weather Service, can't know. All right, nobody does. If anybody tells you that there's going to be a tornado outbreak 100% guaranteed on a certain day, they're lying. Because while we do have, ways to ensure that there's most likely going to be a tornado outbreak in some scenarios, we never know for certain. By the way, I did bring up this cyclone port from northwestern Mississippi. I didn't even mention that, but I just want to track this storm near Memphis, or these showers near Memphis, really. See if they do anything. I think that we are going to end off the stream here and come back later during a more intense period of severe weather. I'm going to have to go soon anyway, so we've had a decently active stream here, obviously, with that massive hail in Texas. We've had, I think, we've had 5 different severe thunderstorm warnings this stream. So I'm going to go ahead and end off the stream here. So I do want to thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.